All right, well, hello, Dr. Hesketh, and any other classmates that are viewing this. This is my fiance, Caitlin, and my mother is hiding off camera at the moment.
There she
is. All right, so we're going to be discussing non-Newtonian fluids, but just as a quick overview on what they are before we actually run an experiment. Basically, the differentiation between Newtonian and non-Newtonian fluids comes down to their viscosity and how the viscosity of the fluid reacts under applied pressure. We've talked about this in terms of shear stress and strain in class, but I find it much less confusing when we talk about it in terms of viscosity because that's something that everyone's familiar with, including my non-chemical engineering family members. So when it comes to different fluids, a simple way that I like to look at it for discussing the idea of viscosity has to do with basically how easily the fluid flows. So if you think about fluid as a bunch of different layers of molecules of fluids, like for example, this stack of paper that I have here, different fluids will flow with different levels of ease over one another. So for example, my paper here slides one piece of paper over the other very easily. It's more viscous. If this were a fluid and we had different layers of fluid, they slide over each other quite easily. So this would be something like water or, another water-like fluid, something that flows very easily. But then if you think about something like cold molasses or cold honey, it flows much less easily and is much more viscous. So that would be something like, I have two sheets of sandpaper here. They don't flow over each other very easily. It takes a lot of work to flow. They would be perhaps representative of flow of a more viscous fluid. So when we talk about viscosity, it's just how easily the fluid flows or how,
Makes sense.
So then when we talk about Newtonian versus non-Newtonian, a Newtonian fluid has a simple, predictable, linear relationship for how viscosity is affected by pressure in particular, but a non-Newtonian fluid does not. And there's different types of non-Newtonian fluids that I'm not going to go into right now because they're far more applicable to chemical engineering than to your everyday life. But a fun example of a non-Newtonian fluid, which is one where pressure plays an impact on the viscosity, and applied pressure on the viscosity of the fluid, is what we're going to make right now. So probably going to have a change of camera angle here as I prepare a non-Newtonian cornstarch solution, and then we're going to play with it a little. So we've got cornstarch here from Best by 2014, so it's probably not good for food anymore. We'll use it for science instead. So I'm just going to... Do you have any use for this cornstarch? Or can I just use all of it? Alright. So we'll dump some cornstarch in there. And then I'm going to slowly add some water. You can see it's already starting to sort of clump up here. Add some more water. As you'll see, it's giving me some trouble mixing, because mixing is considered applying a force to it. I may have added a bit too much water here, so let's throw it a little extra cornstarch.
So the cornstarch is a powder, but
Yes.
once you mix the water with it, you consider it a fluid?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at it. It flows around in the bowl perfectly fine, like a fluid would. But then, if I apply a force to it, I can get it to go into, well, I'm just going to give up on having clean hands here. if I scoop it up in my hand and start rolling it around a little bit, see, I can actually form it into a little ball there, which you can't do that with a water or orange juice or milk or whatever, right? But as soon as I go, it turns back into a fluid and it starts flowing around. So as you can see, when I push on it or punch it, my hand bounces right off. But then when I gently press my hand on, I can sink into it. And that has to do with pressure changing the viscosity of our non-Newtonian fluid.
Interesting.
So I've transferred our cornstarch solution to a smaller cup here. Now,
It's very fluidy.
yes, it
Looks
is.
like milk.
So I want you first to very gently place your finger into the cup, just very
I
slowly.
don't think this is gonna work.
It will. Look, your finger goes all the way down in. All right, now you can pull it back out, right?
Okay.
Now smoot it swiftly with your finger.
I don't trust this. Oh! That's weird. That's really weird. It's like witchcraft.
See, you can't.
I'm afraid. I'm gonna like break my finger.
Or even here, I have this pen. It got a little on the end, but
It's because it's sharp, I think. Ooh.
it's weird, right?
Yeah, that's so strange.
But then we can take it, and because we're not forcing it, it pours right back in.
So weird.
Yeah. Now imagine trying to engineer a process for stupid fluids like this. That's what Dr. Hesketh makes us do, and that's why we do poorly on his exams.
I'm not a chemical engineer.